what we noticed. And mine was important. All right, so during the point in the lesson when it was the book sharks and the posters, the examples, we said we were going to look for engagement, look at eyes, asking questions. Here were some of our anticipated responses. What did you guys notice during the lesson today? What observations did you make?
When they first sat down on the carpet, they were all really good listeners. I mean, they were almost a little, they were a little excited about the shark thing.
How could you tell?
A few times they went, oh, they made some sounds like oohs and ahs.
Mm-hmm. So that let you know that they were
Really into it, or, kind of fascinated with it all, interested. And I liked how Mindy used the word recall and create. Going to recall text features. And
As to
use anchor chart and then said create your own text features.
You liked how she used the words recall and create?
Yes, like recall what those are, but now take what you know from those, what they mean, and create your own.
And so that was really good because what was she doing for the kids, do you think?
Kind of connecting the two, maybe. One will help with the other.
I like how many times she would prompt a sentence and then the students knew what to say. That was throughout the lesson, and that really stood out to me.
Would you say that, would that be a takeaway
Yes.
for you? Okay. So go ahead and say that again. So
The children would complete her sentences. They knew what to say. Even when she wasn't talking about procedures, that she might remind them every day before they go. When she said demonstrate the area where we will work, near picture or on, when she was talking about caption, and then the children said what it is about. She said what it is, and then they said or what it's about.
Mm-hmm. So how did they know to
prompted them.
use the word about? What were they doing? How did they know?
Recalling what they knew.
It was on
reading off
the screen.
because they were-
So by her doing that, they know that she does that. So what did they have to do?
Pay
Paying
attention.
attention.
And they had to
Pay
read
attention, and they had to read, and they had to be ready to respond. Would you say you did
all the
that?
time.
You did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you find it to be effective?
Yeah, well, because it helps keep their eyes up there, because at any point in time, I'm either gonna stop and they're gonna have to complete, or I'm gonna say popcorn and they're gonna have to read, or something's gonna happen.
Well, there were lots of things that happen during observation that you can tell are routines and procedures that you do.
Right.
The way that they treat each other, the way they respond to you, the way they know how to get their things. I mean, you have those set procedures. And it's
Except
clear.
Alexia, who had to pull over and make her go apologize to
That's-
Malachi.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, but that's a real classroom.
Yes.
That happens. All right, so that was a big takeaway for you for the lesson. So that's what's so powerful about this opportunity is we're not just trying to make one lesson better, we're trying to make us as teachers better. And I just have to stop. On the bottom of this paper right here, I just want to read that quote for a second. Who wants to read that quote for us?
This very one,
Uh-huh.
just as good writing conference gives the student more energy for writing, good professional development should give teachers more energy for teaching. Makes sense.
I feel energized.
Just tell me anytime you want to hear it, I'll read it back to you.
Okay, so what about, we said that we wanted to look for understanding and connections. Did you see that happening? We saw that happening here. Did we see it happening with the students at all? Does anybody have an example of that with the kids?
Like of what now? What's the question?
Like the connections, like did you see any kids showing understanding or making connections?
On their own.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't they, a few times when you showed some pictures, they could tell that is a caption, or that is, up close, or.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they out loud said one on their own without a prompt or something, because I know I asked for Kelvin's that it said, but I asked for it. He
Mhm.
didn't
But,
do
But-
it on his own.
but when he said it, what did he say?
He was referring back to that frog on the bicycle seat,
That's it,
because
yeah.
the day before he had made, ooh, this would be a good caption, so I
Mhm.
just reminded him, you know,
Right.
Mhm.
of another one that would have worked.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's good, Kelvin's connection. Okay, so let's go back to this. Why is it important, I kind of forgot to come over here and do this. Why is it important that Miss Ellis use the words recall and create and connected for the students? Why is that important?
I just think remembering what you learned, and now you've got to put it to use.
And it's vocabulary that they maybe don't use as often, but when you use it and they do it, they understand the meaning of it.
And then she
I don't
set
know if
the
I said that
purpose-
right.
She set the purpose for the lesson, specifically told them what they were going to learn
Now, you asked, why would people use
and do with that information.
use captions? What was the use of captions?
Mhm.
And you love the virus? It's like
Oh my gosh, okay, so talk
It
about
took
that.
me a minute.
Mhm. But
He
I
said,
love,
like a virus.
I loved how a lot of teachers would have dismissed that immediately, like, because it doesn't make sense. So they would have been like, that doesn't make sense, and moved on. But you kept with it. Talk
Because I didn't know
about
what he
for more
meant.
information,
I just
yeah.
asked, what did he mean by that? And I don't know that he necessarily meant in a book if you had that, but I just shoved it that way.
Well, either way, it worked.
But you know, the first thing, oh, sorry. First thing that popped in my head is he may have seen in a book somewhere some type of living antibody, antibody or something under a microscope, and that may be what he thought was, that's the first thing that popped in my head. He may have seen something like that, you know? Like in a science book or something, some kind
I
of.
think it's very possible.
Right.
And that might have been the line he was going to. That's just what popped in my head by the example he gave. But
Were you gonna say
I
something?
thought of them using next commercials do that a lot when teachers
Yeah,
coughing,
something
they like
like
close up on the cough going everywhere and the germs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, maybe
Yeah.
saw something.
So why was it important that when the kids were on the carpet, they were going ooh and ah, and they were acting really interested? Why is that important?
They're interested.
Interested.
And why is it important that they're interested?
Keep their focus longer.
you're going to get more out of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go here to applying correctly, the caption makes sense, fits with the picture, parts labeled. We were looking for this in the flat book. We thought they might say, mine's ugly. Did anybody hear anybody say that? And so, Ms. Ellis didn't have to say, it's okay, you can do it. So that was interesting, didn't, because I think you'd already left the room, but both of them said they had done the lesson this morning, and both Ms. Glenn and Ms. Patino had students say that. Why do you think your kids didn't say that?
Because there were so many big people standing in there watching.
I would say it also goes with, I mean, she does the leader in me in her classroom very
goodness.
well, and you give it your
That's
best
why
shot.
they
your
were so
best.
quiet,
I think
too.
that's part of it too, but yeah, they could have been intimidating
Yeah.
for all of us in there.
I was worried about that with them whispering like they
Right.
were. I was thinking, do they always whisper like that?
No, I mean, they're not a loud crew,
Uh-huh.
but they were extremely quiet. And I'm like, I think I said at one time to Karen, are they talking? Because
I said they're whispering.
They're
Very
whispering. They were
quiet.
so whispering. Okay, so we were looking to see if they were able to take captions and make them make sense. Fits with the picture. Were they labeling the parts? So talk about that.
they did at different levels.
So
I
talk
mean,
about
some
that.
captions were advanced and some were basic, and some diagrams were eye, teeth, nose, and some were more advanced. Which they still all made sense, I think. I don't know, did y'all see one that did? I
Yes.
mean, I didn't see them all.
I didn't.
Alexia said peekaboo, hello shark.
Yeah. Feels like
Advanced.
nonfiction.
But her labeling on the other, diagram was nostrils, gills, and new tooth. And then she had at the top, what big teeth you have. I was getting a kick out of her. And that Natavia wrote, this was a great one, a shark is gliding through the water. Seth wrote the shark is hunting for food.
Mm-hmm.
Seth is all over the place, but when we do a Kagan or he has a partner or something, he's usually on task because he's working with somebody else. It's like keeping him busy. It's hard for him to work independently, but I usually don't have a problem with him.
I was gonna make that
Especially in
comment.
pairs.
Yeah, cause you had asked us to look at him to see if he got off task, and he was.
He didn't during writing?
I mean, I didn't get to see him because I was sitting next to him, but then he moved. But when he was with his partner, he was on task the whole time.
He typically is, like in rally coach, anything you do with a pair, he's typically on.
So what
Yeah.
is that? Okay, so talk about that. With the both record. So talk about Seth in light of that. Why is Seth on task? Because we were looking to see if he was going to be off task. So why is that important? Talk about that for just a minute. That we do both record for kids like Seth.
Well, because he can't handle what he's, how do I say it? He has to be moving all the time. So if there's a structure where, let's say, round table consensus, where he has to sit through 3 passes of a paper, I mean, he can't stick, I mean, although he's supposed to have a job, but it's not a paper pencil task job, he can't stay on task. He can't stay focused long enough to handle something like that. I mean, we still do it, but it's just extremely difficult.
So structure with the partner.
And with him always having like a part where he's doing something.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying before I started writing earlier, you were saying something that not and doing. So it's good if he's able to do something. But you said with a partner, why is that important for him? What does that help him do?
Well, he has somebody there with him, helping him, and it's not a big enough group to where he can slack off. He's, yeah.
So do you think that partner was helping him or just alongside of him?
Maybe. I mean, it could have been both. I mean, Seth's a smart boy, so I mean, it's
So
probably
because
just.
it didn't seem like the same interaction as we saw last time with Yvette, like needing help. It was more like just
Gavin
being
would
able
be,
to talk
be
about
more
it.
one that fills the spot of needing help in a vet spot.
So for
Seth, it's it's a
right,
whole
it's
different
whole
story.
different
Yes.
So for a student like Seth, which I would argue a lot of kids are like Seth, that being able to have someone to talk to.
Well, and then the fact that it wasn't, I mean, it was both record, so you were drawing and only one person was responding, which I had some issues with that structure today, but that I didn't like. But although one person was responding, the other one was still doing something. You were still drawing, and then you were taking their response, so you were busy, you know.
So a positive then for both record is that, because you've talked about some of the other structures when y'all were planning, since I've been with you guys in your planning sessions, you kind of shy away from the structures where people aren't actually doing something or not talking. So you seem to be drawn to the structures where they're talking and doing.
And I think I think everybody needed a flat book. I mean, I think
Are
it
you
was.
glad you did it that way then? So think about that, like reflect on that. Are you glad you did, everybody had a flat book?
Yes, I am. The only thing that with that structure, I mean, I thought it went fine and everybody did the job they were supposed to do. It didn't necessarily follow the Kagan steps, which is where I got my air blew out. I don't know what you want to call it. But because what the purpose of it was the one that responds, you know, the other one's supposed to almost copy them.
Right.
And so you didn't have that. I don't think it caused a problem, but
No.
it didn't
So,
follow
like,
the cake and steps.
When
So that's my issue.
When Lexi's partner started drawing the diagram without her, and Lexi said, "No, it's my turn. I'm supposed to do the diagram."
She was correct.
She was correct. So, what do you think?
It'd just be
Is
more
it-
practice. It would just be something that
Is it okay that it kind of?
it is okay, but I would make sure next time I did that structure that I would, typically I have like a tips slide that I put up, but I was having to use the Elmo as well, so I couldn't put it up. But this will, but usually I don't make the tip slide till after it's done, because then I know what to look for. And so this will be definitely something that will go on the tip slide of what to look for.
Okay, so let's put that here.
Tip
So,
slide.
Tip slide, and
Both record Raleigh Robin tip slide.
okay, so with that, you're going to give them some tips, and you like that everybody had a flat book. So if you do a flat book again or something similar to that, you like them all having
Yes.
a copy of it. So a flat book or similar.
I mean, because they're all gonna wanna take it. I mean, they all had drawing. I mean, they're all gonna want
I
it.
don't wanna go, all the
Right.
way.
I loved how they all put it in their folder to go home, so then they all have their own copy. So flat book or similar, everyone gets a copy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what about the team up to share with another team? What did you guys notice about when they were able to team up?
Like the direction that the inside partners are gonna find outside partners.
What did you like about it?
Neat. It's not chaos. They're not all over the
No
place
confusion.
running to get to your friend. You know,
Yeah.
who can be your group and who can't be in your group, and then assuring them that your group's only gonna have 4, except for the Gavin group, that one's gonna have 5.
Okay, so why is that important? Why was that important that the team up had this direction?
Because if that direction went in there, you would have been fixing a lot of teams.
Yeah. There'd be some the same.
There'd maybe be some argument or something, I'm not sure.
And so when they did get in their teams, what did you notice about their teams? When you were walking around and looking and listening in, what did you notice about the teams?
They were happy.
Mm-hmm.
My team was happy to share. They were happy to talk to them.
They like showing what they drew and.
They all looked interested.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they all looked like they were listening to the other team. I would say their heads were together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Literally and figuratively? Okay, so why is that important that they're happy and they're liking to share their drawings and they're listening and their heads are together? Why is that important?
And they're proud of what they did.
And so what does that do for them next time they do something?
Confidence.
We talked about it the last time we were observing too, that hearing it from another child speaking to you as opposed to the teacher is just better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they came up with an idea that your group didn't come up with, and second grade language sticks.
And they got to see what some others did besides the ones right at the team they were sitting at. You know, it's fun to go
And
see.
so being able to work with a partner, having your own thoughts, working with a partner, and then going to another team
Mhm.
with the same idea, what does that do for their knowledge?
It expands it.
Expands, yeah. Some
Builds it,
ideas.
mhm.
Okay, so did you see student praises?
I mean, I heard some.
And I heard you like
Yeah,
affirm
I
that.
heard you.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
then my group did it. They heard her
I think I heard
and
a guy
affirming
come
somebody
along on the
else
side.
reminded them.
Why is that important for the students to hear praises and for their teachers to, and for the teacher to acknowledge that she heard their praises?
Yeah, she makes her chest go out. Like, yeah, I did that. I'm a leader.
Everybody likes praises.
Yeah. It's a confidence booster.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right, so what about Writer's Workshop Independent Writing? We were gonna look and watch students to see how they did.
Very peaceful surroundings to write.
Mhm.
Kind of makes you want to write.
Uh-huh.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
And comfortable. They were all
Very
comfortable,
comfortable.
but you know, whether they were sitting or laying or
Mhm.
at their desk or on the
Right.
floor.
I saw Jose working on pit bulls, Kalani working on flowers, Kelvin working on a story about Hazel, Caden. The kids that I saw on the computers, they were Google searching how to grow a pear tree, how to grow flowers,
Elephants.
watching a shark
Bunnies.
video.
Batavia was.
Lonnie and I had met about her flower one, so she was back.
Now this little guy, he spent most of the time like that.
Did he? Abraham.
But I thought he was like just kind of off
He
task.
was writing something.
But he would sit like that and think, and then he would write something. And then he would sit like that for a while, and then he would.
Because I have a story actually pulled over, I didn't get to him today, but about a car wreck that he was in with his mom and dad and grandma. And it's like, I mean, it's good. You know, I mean, he gave detail, so he's a slower movie. Him and Caden, the thicker white, blonde-headed boy.
Mhm.
I mean, they fool me sometimes. I think they're not, but they just take a longer process.
Caden was looking at the pear tree.
Yeah.
Batavia was looking at how to create a garden. She was writing how to create a garden.
Pickles.
Yeah. Yeah, the only one I ever saw task Kelvin for like a second. His pencil went flying and he just got stuck there. I was like, what's happening? It was like right before you called him up to work. I was like, oh, perfect timing. He just had some focus, but he had been working. And just, yeah, everybody else was on task almost all the time. And they knew, I think, your expectations of getting materials. Like they were using, excuse me, please. They had to get into their desk to get something out, and somebody was sitting in front of it,
Yeah,
or
I heard
a
somebody
material at another place, or their computers. And I mean, they were very quietly getting their materials and going right back to work.
One thing too, they knew to get all kinds of different things for research. I went over there to Malachi, and he had a book on communication. I said, "Is that your familiar reading book?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "So you're going to write? Are you getting research from that book? Is that what you're going to write about?" And he said, "Yes."
But don't you remember we had part one?
Huh?
That's the story he wrote where he put part one. Remember? This has got to be part two.
Maybe it is, because he started a whole new web.